You want to know about Monday Night Raw? You want to see more Shane McMahon, Kevin Owens, Cesaro, a huge tag team tournament, a huge tag team debuts, a tag team you'd never thought you'd see ever would happen and a massive indie main event. Let's talk about it. We're here on MoobsCast. Hello everybody and welcome to episode number 3 of a very special podcast also known as MoobsCast. I am Moobs Like Jabber. If you haven't checked me out yet, there is other shows to watch. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. Make sure you check me out every single week. Twice a week if there's a pay-per-view. Don't forget it. Anyway, Monday Night Raw. Just gone. What a Monday night. 2 in a row. We're being spoiled. I can't remember the last time we had 2 awesome Monday Night Raws in a row. I'm so excited I can't even speak. Either way, it was epic. I absolutely thoroughly loved it. Start to finish. Matches was great. Shocks in there. Massive surprises. And a lot you kind of saw coming, but you didn't see coming like that. You know what I mean? We knew certain things was happening behind the scenes. But it kind of shocked me. I wasn't expecting that. So anyway, what do you guys want to know first? Let's talk Shane McMahon. Drop the hint, it's his last week in charge. Here's my question. Is Vince still running the company and just putting Shane as picture authority? Or is Shane now in there as an advisory role? Because we're still not 100% sure how that's working. Obviously, we know that Vince owns a company, Vince runs a company. We know that. Obviously, but before, Triple H and Stephanie, was involved. They had ideas that Vince implemented. Shane obviously left and went and did his thing. So the question is now is Shane just an on-screen authority figure? Or is Shane, does Shane have a say? Does he sit down with Vince on his own or with Triple H and Stephanie and Vince? Is it a creative thing? Are the creative getting it right? And it's, the way I'm looking at it is if Shane hasn't got an official role, then they're obviously using it as in this is a new star and we're going to use Shane's face as the new star. Either way, I'd love to know what the actual situation is there. I've not read anything that tells me Shane McMahon's in any sort of power within WWE, and I really haven't. But what they're doing at the moment is absolutely fantastic. Obviously, Shane comes out, thanks the fans, says great, blah, 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 he's in charge for another week. Let's make it epic. And then he announces that due to Kevin Owens screwing Sami Zayn last week and not getting in the main event, the main event of the night is number 1 contender, which is AJ Styles versus Sami Zayn. We've got an indie main event. These guys were huge on the indie circuit. I mean, they're huge in WWE and obviously NXT, but these guys made their name on the indie circuit. And this is kind of stuff that people, I don't get to watch a lot of American indie circuit because we don't have a lot of it on TV over here. But these guys are huge, huge stars. So obviously they're selling it. They're selling it by using the indie talent, which is fantastic. So basically what Shane says is if AJ wins, it's going to stay a 1v1 at, main event for the title. If Sami wins, it's going to turn it into a triple threat match. Now, personally, I'd rather seen a triple threat match, but you'll find out about the result later. So anyway, Shane makes that. Then the next thing, my boy Kevin Owens, who takes no crap. His music hits, and he comes down and, he says, look, no disrespect, Shane, because I have to say that, but I want my rematch for the Intercontinental title scene. And Shane's like, no. So, Kevin should get his rematch. He's got an automatic rematch. But then has he? Because he lost it technically to Zack Ryder. Zack Ryder has now lost that to The Miz. So where does Owens' rematch clause come in? Because you don't get a rematch clause if that person you lost it to loses it again, surely. Oh, that's the way I've always believed it. I always believed if you get a rematch if you to the person that you've lost it to. So it's a grey sort of area there. But anyway, Shane turns around and says, it's not happening. I'm not doing that. It's just not going to happen. But I'll put you in a match, and if you can win that match, you'll get your rematch. Owens obviously kicks up a stink about it, but either way, he has to accept it. Hence, music kicks in, and out comes the Swiss Superman. Boom, boom, boom. Now, love Cesaro. Here's a question for you. I put it to my people in my Facebook group, and I'd be interested to know anybody else. Is there anybody but me thinks there's a different feel to Cesaro? Yes, he's a babyface, and I don't know what it is, but he seems a very more confident. It's hard to describe. There's a different feel to Cesaro, like he's being built for something special. You know, there was always old rumours that Vince blows hot and cold, and Cesaro 1 minute he wants to push him, the next minute it doesn't. I've openly said I love Cesaro, but the fact is his accent lets him down. You know, that's probably a big thing. Like when they're doing the promos, he doesn't. He's not really. It's like he needs acting lessons. I love Cesaro though. I'd love to see him get a big title push. So yeah, anyway, Cesaro comes down, made a bit of a bodge on his entrance, as he rips the suit off like he did last week, which is fantastic. He undoes the cuffs, then he grabs his suit and pulls it off, and he's dressed. The problem was he'd got a Cesaro t-shirt underneath, you know, that they sell in the merchandise, and as he goes to grab the suit, he also grabs his t-shirt, and he goes like that, and then he has to sort of like flick off the t-shirt and grab it again and throw it up. It was fine, but they made a bit of a bodge, you know, bless him, he made a bit of a bodge to it. So it was basically Owens versus Cesaro. Winner's number one contender for the IC. Winner is number one contender for the IC title. Again, here's my problem. Where's Zack Ryder gone? I thought we'd get a storyline of Zack Ryder versus The Miz up until Payback. Are we not doing that now? You know, Zack Ryder gets the IC title, loses it the next night on Raw, and then that's it. A little bit strange to me, you know. I thought we'd probably have a long feud, especially since the Miz's wife's staying in now. I was expecting a lot longer than just, you know, a week in a sense. So that kind of did me a bit. But anyway, you don't need me to tell you it was. You know for a fact if Kevin Owens and Cesaro are in a match, it's world class. You know that, and I know that, and I don't need to tell you that. Absolutely epic. Probably two of the best overall I say, you know, I'd say top five, within the top five, two of the best wrestlers, and my personal top five wrestlers are probably AJ Styles, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, Antonio Cesaro. And I'm just trying to think of a fifth. I can't think who I'd put there as in top five. Probably Jericho, but he's a legend and we know he can wrestle and things like that. But obviously, you know, I wouldn't put people like Roman Reigns and John Cena in there, but that's just my opinion. So anyway, cracking match. Everything was done perfection. We saw it all. We see close calls. We saw epic moves. We've seen timings absolutely spot on. Loved it. Ending up in a Cesaro victory, which I'm gutted for Kevin Owens because, as I've always said, I'm a big Kevin Owens fan. I'm gutted for Kevin Owens, but I kind of want them to push him on to bigger and better things. I want to see Owens in the title scene, please, after AJ, obviously. Which I kind of think that's what's going to happen, because AJ and Owens has got history. I don't think that. I'm sort of torn because I don't think they'll take the title off Roman Reigns straight away. But if they did, then surely it'd be AJ versus Owens. Because there's a history there. They're doing they're touching on the Sami Zayn stuff. I mean, them two are now open, in a sense. So I don't know. Maybe we'll see some of that, and then it'll be AJ versus Owens' turn. Again, we'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens, but excited to see that. Absolutely excited to see that. And it was a cracking match anyway. What else have we got? Roman coming down to do his promo again. Second week on the trot that Roman's gone, I'm not a good guy, I'm not a bad guy, I'm the guy. I don't think Roman's doing a terrible job. I repeat myself again. I think Roman's a very hard worker, and I think he deserves. I think he deserves the push in it now. My only problem is, and I hate to admit this, but I'm sorry, Roman, it's just not working for you, mate. It just doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel believable. It doesn't feel credible. And I hate to say it because I was so hoping he was going to prove all these booers wrong. But it's just not. It's not engrossed me at all. He's had the belt 2 weeks, and what's he done? You know, I know it's still early in his title reign, and he probably will get better. You know, once obviously now, you know, once they've set up. Well, now we know what's happening, who he's going to be fighting. They're probably going to set it up, but just at the minute, I just don't see the point to him having the title. I don't feel like they pushed him properly going to Mania, and I don't think they're pushing him properly since. But anyway, he came out, did a promo, and was interrupted by the League of Nations, who was basically like, you know, we'll take you all out. He invites them down. They come down, all about to scrap, and the lights go out. And it goes dark. And you hear, damn! And it's the boy, Bray Wyatt. Well, it's actually the family. Now, this was a curveball. I openly said last week, so does that make Bray a face? Now, I still class him as a tweener. He's the guy that, it doesn't mind who he is, he's here. You know, you got the good guys, the bad guys, and he's here. Right in the middle. Which is great. And they take out the League of Nations, leaving Roman and Bray stood in the middle, squaring up. Bray's smiling at him. Roman's like, you want some? And Shane comes out and basically makes a tag team match. Two of the League of Nations, which turned out to be Sheamus and Del Rio, versus Bray and Roman Reigns. Now, if anybody can tell me they saw that coming, bullcrap. There was no way. That for me is like an epic tag team that I just didn't see coming. I was like, whoa, really? You're going to put them two on the same team after what happened? Wow. And I was like, oh, can't wait for that match. And you know what? It was a good match, actually. It was a really good match. Really enjoyed it. Bray played up to the crowd a lot. And he's also doing the "we're here" bit as well, which is obviously what kind of got Bray over in the first place. But I think they dropped it. I can't think of him doing it for a while because I'd read that Vince wasn't liking it because it was something a baby face would do. You know, like say the town or city or wherever's name to get a cheer. And Vince was like, "But you're a heel. You're a bad guy, so you shouldn't be doing that." So they did the "we're here," and it was like, "Oh, we're going back to classic Bray," even though he's not been in that long. But you know, nostalgia and all that. It was a fantastic match. You know, they kept that little bit of a when they tagged each other. It was with a bit of strength. It went back and forth. Bray took some bumps. Roman took some bumps. And then we finish off with Rusev getting involved, taking out like Bray. But then the lights go out again, and Rowan and Strowman turn up, take out Rusev, leaving Sheamus in the ring with... no, it wasn't. It was Del Rio, in the ring with Bray. Bray hits him with his sister Abigail, and just as he's pinning him, Roman spears Sheamus. Now, I'm glad Bray got the victory, because what does Roman need it for? You know, a win in a tag team match, Roman doesn't need it. Bray needs to start getting some wins under his belt. Bray needs to start winning feuds. League of Nations are nothing but a mid-card jobber team for me anyway, so it's perfect to start getting the Wyatt family pushed up now against them three, because there is no way in this world them three should ever beat the Wyatt family. And if they do, creative or whoever's decision it is for the League of Nations to win wants sacking, because no way. If they lose the feud to League of Nations, then they've completely buried Bray Wyatt, in my opinion. And that is a massive, massive kick in the balls after everything. So, moving on. Women's, not a Natalia fan. I like what she does, but I can't sit and watch that. I was getting into the women's stuff when it was Becky, Paige, Charlotte, Sasha, you know, the girls that had stepped up. For me, they're setting up Natalya versus Charlotte, and I don't see the point. Dr. Phil was there. Now, I don't watch any of his stuff. I know I get the feeling he's like a marriage guidance sort of family fixing it problem sort of person that's on TV, a bit like Oprah, and we have a guy called Jeremy Kyle, for anybody in America who, mind you, I think you guys know. Either way, he reminds me a bit of him. He starts doing a promo saying that Rick's holding her back and all this lot. So question is there going to come a point where she's going to screw Flair and get rid, so then she's on her own, then she's going to lose the title, or is she going to lose the title and then blame Rick? But either way, they did this pretty pointless promo. Obviously went to the match, Charlotte versus Natalya. It was what it was. It didn't really get me, and I watched about 5 minutes and skipped it, if I'm honest. Natalya bores me. You know, I've got nothing against her, and I really don't, but I want to see some of the young, vibrant divas or women that's come up now. I don't want to see the tired stuff that wasn't getting ratings, that nobody was bothered about. You know, every time a woman's match had come on, like the Bellas or Natalya or Summer Rae or any of that crap over the last few years, I'd just go for a cigarette or go to the toilet. And yeah, all right, you put Charlotte in there, who's top quality, but it's still the fact that nobody buys it because nobody's interested in Natalya and all that lot anymore. But either way, it finished how you predicted. It was a decent match. Yeah, it was what it was. Anyway, I'm moving on because the next section I really, really want to talk about. So we had a special highlight reel hosted by Y2J Chris Jericho. And his guest was himself. And he was generally stood there in the ring. 1 minute he was this side, interviewing, and the next minute he was this side, answering. And it kind of went like that. And it was kind of like when Jericho did the whole sheet longer paper of, you know, every wrestling move in a match and all. It was kind of had that feel to it. And he said there was nobody on the roster that, you know, was anywhere near as good as him and things like that. To which we get a visit from the lunatic fringe, Mr. Dean Ambrose. And I'm not kidding, it was hilarious. One of the best Jericho funny ass promos, and definitely probably the best Dean Ambrose one. And Ambrose walks in and says, "This is not your show now, this is my show." And Jericho's like, "What?" And he's like, "This is not your show, this is my show. Did you not get the memo?" And there was a really hilarious part where Jericho says no. So Ambrose pulls something out and gives him this slip of paper. He says, that's a Los Angeles parking ticket. He's like, "Oh wait, no, not that one. I might need that one." And he pulls out this other piece of paper, and I'm not kidding, it's like this, and it's got this great big hole in it. And he says it's from Shane McMahon, and it basically states that your show's cancelled and this is my show. And all in all, he's put this big sign over the TV that says Ambrose Asylum, and Jericho reads it out, and it says that it's been cancelled. It's now the Ambrose Asylum show, or whatever they want to call it. Jericho and him square up and have this whole, you know, who do you think you are, junior sort of thing. And honestly, it was an absolute fantastic way of. I'm hoping now Jericho's going to work with Ambrose, because Ambrose is good at what he. In fact, he's top drawer at what he does. He probably just needs a little bit more, something else chucking in there. But it was really an epic promo, and Ambrose, you know, hits him with the dirty deeds, and the whole segment was absolutely top drawer. It was absolute class. And I really hope they keep that going and keep doing what they're doing. A lot more comedy. That's what I like to see. I like to see a lot of the wrestling matches. I like to see a lot of the feuds. I also like to see a lot of comedy moments, like the stuff with The Rock, Austin, and things like that. Have always been like top for me. So yeah, I hope they go with that. Next up, tag team tournament time. We have a tag team tournament for the number one contender, the tag team match, and we started off with Dudley's versus Lucha, as they put it. Not really nothing too crazy about. I mean, it was a good match. Sin Cara was Sin Cara. Kalisto got an injury. I don't know if it was legitimate or story, but he got some sort of injury, leaving Sin Cara to fight the Dudleys on his own. And it was what it was. The Dudleys are obviously, the heel tag team now at the minute. I do have one point to make. I'm going to blame Sin Cara, but maybe you guys think this is something else. It was a really botched finish. Dudley's went for the 3D, and as Sin Cara's coming back, it was like Devon wanted to pick him up to get him up, but Sin Cara made out that he punched him in the stomach. And Bubba sort of stood there and was like, oh, crap. So they had to throw him to the ropes again, 3D him. Devon goes for the tag, and Bubba has to tap Devon out of the way. So then Bubba gets on him, pins him, and gets the win. But it was a bit of a bodged finish. And to be honest, I'm blaming Sin Cara for that, because I can't imagine the Dudleys getting the 3D wrong. So yeah, it was a bit of a botched finish, and surely that's not going to go unnoticed, you would think. Yeah, it was yeah. But then we got a visit again from Enzo and Cash. How you doing? Seriously, the hype on these are fantastic. Fans are loving them. The way that them and the Dudleys fed off each other was absolutely great. Bubba was going on, Enzo had me in stitches. Bubba was going on about, if it wasn't for guys like us, you wouldn't exist. To which Enzo just looked and went, well, no, I exist because my mum and dad got it on. And it was like, really? Did he just say that? That was fantastic. And it was like, yeah, it was really, really good. And then they did the whole, blah, 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 and all this lot, finishing off with Cash saying, that you soft, S-A-W-F-T. And honestly, that was cracking. That's obviously leading up to them now. There's going to be a feud there. I can't decide who's going to be the number one contenders for it, though. There's the Vaudevillains, there's Enzo and Cash, there's the Dudleys. Trying to think some of the other tanks, like Golden Truth. I can't think who's going to get it. And I say that because the Usos had their match. Mixed reaction for the Usos. And they pulled off the win. But then we had the debut. And everybody's getting excited because we're hoping this means something. We got to see Carl Anderson, Luke Gallows, tag team of the Bullet Club. So they took out the Usos. So surely they're heels. If they're going to be heels, but I think they're going to be cheered more than most of the face tag teams. And they did a real number on them. They put them into the ladders. They put them into the side. They did their finishing moves. They looked very, very powerful and was escorted out the building. But here's my point. You've got, without giving away what happened in the main event between AJ and Zayn, but you've got AJ in the title picture. You've got Gallows and Anderson now have made their debut. You've got the other guy in NXT, and then you've got Balor in NXT as well. Now, we're all screaming for Finn Balor to be main rostered. Or if you're not, why not? Because Balor, for me, yes, they brought Owens up, they brought Zayn up, they brought Neville up, they brought Enzo and Cash up, they brought all this NXT stuff up. But we all can't surely wait for Finn Balor. And that's what we want. And that's what we want to see. But it's going to be, is it just a coincidence that AJ's getting involved with Roman and that Gallows and Anderson are getting involved in the Usos, even though the Usos and Roman are family? Is that a coincidence or is that building up? But you see, the other thing to remember is Balor was the original Bullet Club. And then when he left, it became AJ. So is there... It's so sort of, we're all up in air at the minute, like, as in, well, what are they going to do? Is it going to be Balor? Is it going to be AJ? Is there a coincidence that they're fighting them because they're a tag team and they needed to, get them over and everything? I think probably Payback will be the answer on that one. I think if they've probably not done any sort of connection by after Payback, then maybe they're keeping them separate. But everybody's obviously hoping it's the Bullet Club beginning to come in now. We got to see Apollo Crews again fight Adam Rose. Nice little jobber, who's Mr. Rhodes. Thank you very much for putting Apollo Crews over. Crews looked really, really good as always. Like I said last week, I think he's going to be the one that's going to have to put more work. They all work hard. I'm not saying they're not. But I think I still stand by, he's going to be the one that's going to have to work that bit harder to get himself established. Whereas people like Zayn and what have you, I know they're not completely established, but they are. They've got their fan base and they're established. So yeah, Crews looks good, but obviously he's going to have to do some work. Then they built up Baron Corbin, which is getting really exciting, and it's going to be fun to see where they go with him. The NXT lads are seriously getting a chance now. We've been screaming for years that we're sick of seeing John Cena. We're sick of seeing John Cena versus Randy Orton. We're sick of seeing The Miz with the Intercontinental title, which I know he's got it again, but we've seen the same thing for too long now. Now when you consider that you've got, I know Rollins is injured, but you've got Rollins, Ambrose, Reigns, Owens, Zayn, Neville, Cesaro. You've got, so the talent goes on that's coming from NXT, but these new lads they're really giving a crack to. And I go back again, that's why I'm asking about the Shane McMahon thing, because has Shane got a say, or is it just Vince needed to make it look like the company's starting a new area with the NXT lads, so he's using Shane's face, as a story? I don't know. Or is it Shane's got some sort, Shane's been given some sort of control, so he's using the NXT lads. This is what I want to know. And I can't find anywhere that tells me for definite who's doing what, who's pulling what string. Is it Triple H who's talked Vince into it and they decided to use Shane and Shane's offered to help him out for a little bit? I want to know. If anybody knows for definite what the deal is with Shane McMahon, maybe we'll find out this Monday night or at Payback or something like that. Because I don't think Shane's going anywhere. Surely Vince is going to come out and say, well, you've done a cracking job, we're going to leave you in charge. As far as I'm aware, Stephanie and Triple H aren't due on TV for a long time. Is one report I'd read. Again, I don't know if it's true. I only read what you guys read on the internet, probably. But this is what, this is where we have these discussions. This is why I do this, because people might know better than me. But anyway, finishing off, we had our main event, or as I nicknamed it, the indie main event. The main event that everybody wanted to see and never thought you'd ever see on WWE TV. AJ Styles versus Sami Zayn. Neither guy played the bad guy. Neither guy tried to screw the other guy over. They did a promo before that basically said they were friends, they respected each other, they've done great things together and separately and things like that. And the match, it wasn't a WWE match. It didn't feel like a WWE match. It felt like something you'd see, on the indie circuit. I know our indie circuit ain't as great as America's indie circuit, but it felt like an indie match that you could go down to your local sports hall or football ground or wherever, gym, and watch, and it really felt that, and everybody bought into it. I think people more enjoyed that than what they'd have seen with your typical WWE guy, say like John Cena versus Randy Orton, or even John Cena versus CM Punk. As big as CM Punk was, it still felt like a typical WWE main event, a typical WWE fight. This didn't. This felt different, and people enjoyed it. And I generally think Vince has sat there and gone, people are enjoying this. They'd rather see this stuff than the stuff we've been, giving out. And the fact is, the ratings and the share prices aren't lying. People wasn't buying into the old stuff. They're now buying into it. And I hope they carry on doing what they're doing. But anyway, it was a cracking match. It went back and forth, as you'd expect. AJ did some epic moves. Zayn did some epic moves. Sami Zayn nearly got the pin a few times. So did AJ. Before I go on to the result, I want to mention one thing, because it really, really, really grinded my gears. I don't know why, but it grinded my gears. Michael Cole. Zayn's been in there now about a month. Say a month, argument's sake. Probably here, give it a take. And every match he calls him Sammy. And Sammy nearly gets the pin, and Sammy does this, and Sammy does that. It's no Sami Zayn, it's Sammy. Like he's first name best friends with the guy. And it doesn't feel right, it feels fake. It feels scripted, and it feels fake. Michael Cole is really, really grinding my gears at the minute. I've never been his biggest fan. I mean, I love JR, but then who doesn't? But, I was never against Michael Cole, but he is really good. I mean, don't use the guy on SmackDown because his voice goes through me. but it all feels fake when Michael Cole's calling his Sami Zayn matches at the minute. But anyway, that I'll get off my pedestal and stop going off at that on now. But either way, that kind of annoyed me a little bit. But anyway, fantastic match. And it ended up being an AJ victory. So we're staying as a 1v1 with Roman Reigns. We're not having the triple threat. So surely that now means that it's opening up for Owens versus Zayn, because what I didn't want to sort of mention it because I didn't want to give the result away. But what I failed to tell you is after the Owens fight, him and Shane was arguing backstage. And Shane had Owens escorted out the building and basically said, hit the lockers, get changed, you're out. So surely they're going to show Owens as spitting his dummy out. And he's obviously, Zayn's not doing anything now. So surely now we're going to see Owens versus Zayn, which, another feud that we all want to see. So I'm excited for that. Really, I'm excited for that. It was a shame Sami Zayn lost the main event, but it goes back to they're building up surely Owens versus Zayn and AJ versus Roman. And I go back to what I said about Anderson and Gallows. Is it a coincidence that AJ's fighting Roman and they've attacked the Usos? Or is there something going to happen? Is this where the Bullet Club comes in? It's wide open. We are all second guessing now. We are literally all second guessing on everything that is happening at the minute. So, I don't know. I think it's looking really exciting, but I genuinely don't know. So anyway, we've come to the end of this show. I really hope you've enjoyed it. Please, please, please hit that like button and please hit the sub button. Don't forget you can check me out on all these social media platforms. If you want to be involved, I've still not had anybody approach me yet. Do you want to be the first guest on MoobsCast? All you got to do is follow me on these sites and then message me on Twitter or Facebook. Message me on one of them and just sort of say, I want to get involved next week. I want to have my say. I disagree with something you said. So either way, I don't care. As I've said in the 2 shows I've done, this is the 3rd time I've said it. This is a show by a fan, for the fans, with the fans. Can't do it unless you guys get involved. So if you do want to be involved, make sure you check me out on all the social media sites. Make sure you direct message me. And we'll get us heads together, and the next show that I'll be recording, we'll get you on here. We'll do a 2-way thing between myself and you. Either way. So, like I say, don't forget Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. I am Moobs Like Jabber. Make sure you check me out there. If you want to see my live streams on games, or if I do a live MoobsCast and you want to watch, I'm Moobs Like Jabber Xbox One on Twitter. You've got to get that name right. Moobs Like Jabber Xbox One. So please, please, please check me out on all the platforms. Enjoy your week. Think about everything we've talked about. Think about the potential of what's happening in WWE, and make sure you tune in next week. Thank you very much. Moobs out.